Putnam City Schools started in 1914. I won't tell you we don't have time for me to tell you the 100-year history of Putnam City Schools, but I want to give you just a snapshot of where we were in 1914 and where we are today in the year 2014. In 1914, in our country, we were only graduating 16% of our students. My grandmother was born in 1900, so if you think about in 1914, she was very proud to be, not a 14, but people in that generation were very proud to have an 8th grade education. In the state of Oklahoma, we only had 2 high schools in 1914, Oklahoma City and Tulsa. So in 1914, the parents who lived right here in this area, now known as Putnam City Schools, there were 4 dependent, today we call them elementary school districts, kindergarten through 8th grade. The parents of those 2, there we go, eat the microphone. The parents who were living in this area said, we want our own high school for our children. Interesting enough, if you wanted to get a high school education, you were living in this area now known as Putnam City, you caught the interurban at State Street near MacArthur and 39. The interurban, started in Oklahoma City. There was the Putnam stop right there on 39, went to Yukon and El Reno and then back. And so you caught the interurban and you rode to downtown Oklahoma City and got your high school education, and then you came back home at the end of that day. So the parents said, we want to start our own high school. So today, in the year 2014, we serve over 19,000 students, and we're very proud of our 100-year history. We have a PowerPoint that I want to tell you a little bit about our bond. It's coming up August the 26th, and Mr. Lund, if you'll pass those reminders out. I know that all of you do not live in the Putnam City District, but instead of just handing out cards to people that are actually patrons, we want everyone to know when this election's coming up. We do have a runoff election for both Democrat and Republican on August the 26th. The Centennial Bond, August the 26th, is for $120 million. It is the most comprehensive and progressive bond in our school history, in our 100-year history. There are several things that we want to emphasize. The big picture, there are over 170 projects. At the top of the list is increasing student safety. We all know what happened in Moore, Oklahoma in March of 2013. And we want to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to keep students safe in our schools. And being a graduate of Lone Wolf High School in southwest Oklahoma, only 17 in my graduating class, we had a cellar that we called it, and it was underground. And that's where the whole community went when we had a tornado. Well, today we don't just dig a cellar in the ground and let it sit there waiting for a tornado. Today we will be building 10 safe rooms with this bond. And what we will be doing is we will be building library media centers, and when we add on classrooms, those will be safe rooms as well. They'll double as safe rooms. We also have Cooper Middle School, where we have had the design of pod areas, and instead of those being pod areas, we're converting those to additional classrooms. So at the top of the list, we have school safety. In addition to that, to the safe rooms, there'll be cameras and technology that will assist that. Second on the list is ensuring a high-quality learning environment for our students. There are many, many things packed into this. I'm going to start actually at the bottom of the list. In March of 2013, our school district did vote a $6 million bond for technology for iPads. Today we have 10,000 iPads in our district. That's not exactly one-to-one. We would need over 19,000 to have one-to-one technology. But this school year that will increase to 13,000 iPads in our district. We want to continue that, as well as many of the academic things that are packed into this bond. But also, I like to think about this portion of the bond as what happens behind the wall. And I know we have our architects here today, but there are many things that happen behind the wall that a lot of people don't think about with bonds. I was visiting with Senator David Holt the other day, and he said, in your presentation, did you mention to people that for schools to maintain their buildings, it requires a bond to be passed? That's not just something that happens. And all of us, the school districts that we live in, we support our schools by passing bonds and making sure that we maintain the property that we've invested in, just like we would with our home. So many of the things that are happening with this second item are things that happen behind the wall. Electrical upgrades, plumbing upgrades, and those kinds of things. I also appreciate the fact that this building and the design has won an energy award. Putnam City Schools is the greenest school district in the state of Oklahoma because about 12 to 15 years ago, under the administration at that time, Dr. Jim Capps and our board, they voted to start geothermal. And so during that time, 12 years ago, started drilling wells in playgrounds, parking lots, and football fields. And we want to continue the geothermal program that we're on today. We're not quite there yet, but we want to have all of our facilities with geothermal. All of us like to be comfortable. In fact, we probably don't. Sitting here today, we're probably not thinking about it because we're comfortable, but if it was too hot or too cold, we probably would say something about that. I like to think that we want to be comfortable, but that's a lot of money being spent for something that we have nothing to show for it. And so with geothermal, we are able to make that investment in that type of technology to save energy so that we'll be able to put those funds, and today I can say that we've saved over hundreds of thousands of dollars with geothermal. And so we're able to put that in instruction. And then the next slide. Jill left. Okay, the next slide has to do with community. In the community, we want to continue to build the community support that we have had in Putnam City for a long time. And we are working with, here we go, thank you. Where's Jill? You're doing it, thank you. I'll look for Jill. I've also been listening for the bell. At Putnam City North and Putnam City West, we already have our turf for football, soccer, track, the band. And so we will start, after this bond passes, with playing our home games at our high school campuses, as opposed to what now we think of as the Putnam City Stadium. So all three high schools will be playing in their local community, as well as the middle schools that feed into those high schools. Along with this, we will be building a new middle school. It will not be an additional middle school, but Capps Middle School is located on 39th, and for those of you that have been around Putnam City for a long time, you know that that is one of the original buildings, actually not in 1914, but in the 1930s, when that building was built, there was a fire. And if you drive by and see Capps Middle School today, it looks fairly nice from the outside, but what a lot of people don't know is that on the inside is part of the original building. And I remember a Wonder Years segment of the television show Wonder Years several years ago where the dad was so frustrated continually putting money into an old car. Some of you might remember this segment that the family finally said, "Dad, it's time to just go buy a new one." And we have put a lot of money into an old building, and we don't want to continue to do that. So we are building a new Capps Middle School. When that happens, we will have what's called the Centennial Center that will be on the football field, current football field, for all 5 of our middle schools, which is located at Capps Middle School on 39. The reason that we're locating it there is because we already have geothermal in that football field, and we can continue to use that for our facilities. The Centennial Center will be at the top of the list, will be professional development. It will be an administrative center. It will be a community center. And it will also be a history center. And we will have many, many activities going on in that building called the Centennial Center. Our current administration building will be reconverted to an early childhood education center. We currently lease storefronts basically at DeVille and Springdale. And I really don't like the idea of paying for something and not seeing something for it. So instead of us leasing those facilities, we will relocate those classes to our early childhood center that will be right there on 40th. Let's go ahead. I'll quickly tell you some things about, Proposition 2 will be the transportation question, and that's $1 million. Our buses drive 7,000 to 8,000 miles a day, not each bus, all of them combined. We typically keep our buses for 20 to 25 years. In fact, we have a mechanic today who has been a winner at the state level and going to national competition as a mechanic. Now, I didn't know there was such a thing. I knew that for sacking groceries and for putting bed sheets on if you work in a hotel. But there is competition for mechanics. And so one of our mechanics is going to national competition. That's the second question. By law, we have to have two questions. One is for everything else. The second question is transportation. Next slide. So how does this affect me as far as property taxes on a $100,000 home? And that is the average price of a home in Putnam City Schools. It will increase taxes $36 a year or $3 a month. That's at the high end. The truth is, that is figuring on a 2.5% interest on bonds, and we currently, the last several years, we've been getting 1.25. So it probably will not be $3 a month, but we want to be honest with the voters, and we don't want people to come back and say, you didn't tell me. If we say we want to increase your taxes, we don't want to do that. So we want to be at the high end. The next slide, I believe, is how we compare in millage to other school districts in the surrounding area. If you look, Millwood, Oklahoma City, and Putnam City right now is at 21.32 mils. And this, if it goes to the 3%, it'll be at 24.3%. You can see how we compare to other school districts. With that, I will close because our time is limited. We have a lot of speakers, but hopefully there'll be some time at the end for questions.